In Germany, we say jumpin' one instead of platformer, and I think that's beautiful. So, what came first, the monkey or the human? Actually, that's an easy question to answer. How would you answer the question of what's the best Sony jumpin' one though? That's already way harder. One of the Sly Racoon games, the first Jak and Daxter, do the Ratchet and Clank games count? For some people, Astrobot already also joined the same rank as those games. For me, it's an easy question, because for the rest of my life, I will just say Ape Escape 3. I think we all have that one game that puts us right back into our childhood, sitting in front of the TV and having the time of your life because it's the weekend, which means no school. You can stay up for as long as you want with your parents waking you up the next day at 10 a.m. for breakfast and asking why you're so grumpy despite them exactly knowing why. And just playing that freshly rented out game from the video store and being happy that you didn't have to pay for the Sunday, which means you own the whole game for only $3 for 3 days. Because I never owned it and just always rented it out whenever I felt like playing it. Why buy a game you already have beaten anyways? Better invest it into a game you haven't played yet when your parents allow you to pick a game to buy. Enough about my childhood though, maybe someone else can relate to it when you were around the days when video stores were a thing. Spectre is on the loose again, an extremely smart albino monk who is also the main villain of the other two games. This time he has a dapper suit on though. He's cool as hell. His plan, taking over the world by making the apes make extremely dumb TV shows so people get brainwashed from it and just keep watching TV while he puts his evil plan into motion, chopping the world into two halves and keeping one of them and giving the other half to Dr. Tomoki, who is helping him with it. Yes, he is related to Mirror B from Pokemon XD and Colosseum. Ever realized how characters with afros are almost always the best characters in their respective games? One thing I love about the Ape Escape games is that they all get a new main character in each game and you don't even really mind it. It helps that Spike, Jimmy and Kay don't even really feel like different characters anyways. They're all that young boy full of energy trope with an insane haircut that you nowadays probably miss, even if you hated it back in the day. But let's be honest, everyone thought Yugi's hair is actually sick as fuck and wanted theirs to be like that. Too bad they don't work well in real life, not like I have tried. Most other franchises always kept using the same character because that's what franchises are about kinda. You need to recognize them and go, wow, that's Crash Bandicoot. Imagine if you played as Coco already in the second game. I'm pretty sure people would have been a bit turned off by it, even if Coco played exactly like Crash. Such a character change can easily kill off a franchise that isn't already well established, but the thing with Ape Escape is, the apes are the real main characters anyways in a way. When you think about Ape Escape, you will think about the apes. You wouldn't think about Neo Cortex first when you think of the Crash games, and even if Bowser is basically in almost every Mario game, you will still first think of Mario. In a way, I think it's just kind of funny even if I don't have to laugh about it, which makes it not funny, more like interesting. But also, K might as well not even exist because Ape Escape 3 lets you choose between him and Yumi, and I have never met a single person that picked him over her. I looked up a bunch of long plays though on YouTube to try to prove my point, but like half of them actually picked K. So there are people who played as him, not like it matters. Back in the day, the first Ape Escape was basically the first game that required you to have a DualShock controller, and if you ever played any of these games, you know exactly why. Because your right analog stick will become your best friend after the left one. The main part of the game is you having to work out with both of them. With the left one, you move around. Why am I even explaining that? But the right stick controls not the camera like how we are used to it nowadays, but all of your gadgets, which may feel a bit unusual at first if you never played them before, but after just a few seconds you will feel like you are right at home, because you will be, since you are most likely playing it at your place. Your most important gadget is the net, because that's how you will catch your monkeys most of the time, or something I will talk about later. Ever went fishing? I have not. Ever went catching bugs? Nope. So I have zero experience how it works to use a net in real life, but in the world of catching monkeys, I'm number one. Swing it around with the right stick and boom. Sounds easy enough, but just like how we did back in the day, the monkeys also become smarter. Eventually, just swinging a net at them won't work because they notice you, so you will have to sneak and catch them off guard, or you will have to bonk them before catching them. Sometimes you also just have to pull out your RC car and ram into them to get them out of the hiding spot. Normal everyday things we all have to do daily. I always wanted to have one of those cars and never got one. Now I am afraid of driving a car and can't get a license. Thanks. They get guns to hurt you with, are able to jump into mechas or just shoot love at you so you're stunned for a bit, and if you hurt them too much, they get extra mad and into a state of madness and angriness, and that's no good. You should be happy, even if you're getting caught, because if a cute person tried to kidnap me, I wouldn't oppose it too much. Some monkeys think the same when you play Yumi, since they're in love with you, you get some free matches and catches since they just stare at you with lovely eyes. In the original Japanese version, she's called Sayaka though, and in Europe too, so I have no idea why they changed it to Yumi in the American version. Like, if you wanted to westernize the name, why not go for Sarah? Why pick another Japanese name? Look at Natsumi, she's called Natalie in America, while her name in the first game was Katie in Europe. I get why companies do this sometimes, but it doesn't feel right to me. The monkeys can even steal your net away from you, and if they catch you, then it's over for you. It's pretty hard to let that happen though, you basically have to try to let them do it, or maybe I'm just too good at video games. I'm not. You don't only have your gadgets to catch monkeys with, but the new mechanic in the game are transformations. With the morph gadget, you can turn into a knight, a cowgirl, a belly dancer, kung fu fighter, ninja, and a bunch more that all have their very own special abilities. As a knight, you have a super strong defense that you can use to walk through fire. As a ninja, you can fly up into the air and walk on tight ropes. A cowgirl can go bang bang bang. They all have their own catching mechanics, and some of them kinda suck, like the night one because it's really low range, but with the cowgirl you can shoot them from a distance, and same with the ninja for example. The Cyber Ace transformation is the ultimate male power fantasy though, because you become a Maho Chojo, and who didn't want to become a magical girl at least once in their lives. We all have watched Doremi, Sailor Moon and Pretty Cure while waiting for Digimon or Pokemon on TV, don't even try to deny it. With it you can dash around in the air and shoot lasers to also catch multiple monkeys at once. It's just the most fun to use because being able to dash is just really fun regardless of what game you're playing. A game always gets better when you get a dash in them. When it comes to jumpin' ones, there's like a whole bunch of them. Something like Mario 3D World is different to Mario 64, which is different to Crash Bandicoot, who is far away from Banjo despite both being animals. So what is Ape Escape? The levels are pretty much a mix between linear and a bit more open-ended. Some worlds are mostly a straight line, while some, like the toy world, actually allow you to go and catch your monkeys however you want. You don't like the RC car gadget, then don't do that one, unless you eventually want to catch them all. Just choose one of the other ways if you want to. Before most levels, you will get a new gadget or transformation that the level wants you to take advantage of. Would be dumb to give you something that you don't even truly need after all. So almost every new level feels like a Christmas calendar, because in each of them you get something new. I wonder what is gonna be behind that door on the 5th day? Oh, a piece of chocolate, how exquisite. This comparison only works for rich kids who got one of those calendars that had a new toy behind every door, while you got the normal kind that had only little pieces of chocolate in them. Which isn't bad, but I don't even like chocolate much anymore. It's also like double Christmas because of it. A new gadget or a new transformation and a new cool level? You're spoiling me. And the levels themselves are also surprises because you never know what will come next. Sure, it has some of the mainstay kind of levels that every Jump & One game has, like a desert or an ice world, but most of them are unique, just like you, because we are all our own person and only exist once. In a way, it reminds me of the Zelda games, and you will probably think, what? But it really just makes my mind think it works like in the classic dungeons. You get a new stage with the new toy to tool with, and that level uses it lots, while the other levels afterwards still make use of it, but not as much, till everything comes together in the final stage, where you kinda have to use everything you got over the course of your journey. Despite that, it's just too straightforward in its design. There are no real quests inside of the levels. All you gotta do is catch monkeys, with some of them being a bit more puzzle-like, but it never makes you think, wow, I really had to use my brain for that one. The game is not really challenging, especially if you catch monkeys with the transformations. They barely can do anything against most of those special moves, while it can get pretty tricky sometimes to catch them with the normal net. So maybe if you feel the game is too easy at points, just listen to these words and try not to use one of the core mechanics. It's your fault if you need to use broken moves, not the game's fault, okay? It's jumping and one, and is also not exactly its strongest suit. It's a bit like most Mario games in 3D. You can easily mostly just walk and do simple jumps to your destination without having to do precise jumps, which some people may be looking for. Especially in the early stages, it will be like a walk in the park before it ramps up a bit more, with having to jump onto platforms that move, while monkeys are trying to shoot you while you do it, and if they hit you, you fall into the endless abyss. Just don't let it corrupt you. Most levels are designed after famous pop culture references like Top Gun, or you can watch the Titanic sink for a second time, unless you never saw it sink for the first time because you maybe fell asleep while watching that movie. I did when I was younger. I would probably still fall asleep watching it nowadays. Even Germany gets mentioned with a Bavarian level, with some nice yodeling in the background. It's mostly probably Austrian, but all of those things blend together and Austria is basically Germany anyways. For some weird reason, even level names are different though in all versions of the game, and I have to say America got the short end of the stick with some of them and they feel way more lame. In Europe the Germany level is called Monkeys Meet Brothers Grimm, a reference to the various fairy tales which fit because there's Red Riding Hood here for an example. In America it's just called Monkey Forest. Why? Or the Titanic level in America is just Monkey Panic, the Frozen Promise, while here in Europe we got Thinking of the Montanic, My Heart Can't Go On. The Toy Town name is a reference to the Sesamstraße. I'm really bad at saying Sesame Street, so I will just use the German name. And in America it's just Out with the Monkeys, which says nothing to me. Maybe if you're American you can tell me if that somehow rings a bell, but I checked the trivia page of the wiki page to see if it references anything and it says nothing about the American name of it, so probably not. Sadly, one thing it suffers from is the getting kicked out of the level because you did what you had to do syndrome. Once you have caught enough monkeys, you can't decide if you want to keep going or not. And it does make sense since some levels have monkeys you can't get yet because you still have to unlock certain gadgets, but sometimes you will see two monkeys in front of you that you can still easily catch, but the game says no, you're going home after catching one of them. You want to replay most of these levels anyways though, right? So it won't be too much of a problem at least. Just do one normal playthrough and if you enjoyed your time, which you will hopefully, just get back in there and get all of the monkeys. Unless you really hated a level and never want to play it again, because regardless of how much we love our favorite games, they will always have that one stage that makes you think, oh no. That's how we Germans express our disappointment. You will never get that sweet 100% though then, which isn't important, because we will never be able to 100% our own lives sadly, but we gotta try to do everything we want to do anyways. There's also bosses. The Freaky Monkey 5s are back from Ape Escape 2. They are not as freaky as me though, or maybe they are because I'm a normal, well-adjusted person. Their fights are pretty neat, but nothing really stands out, which sounds harsh, but for me it's really hard to even name a couple of great 3D jump and run bosses that made me think, damn, this is amazing. There's the Snatcher from Ahead in Time and like Gruntilda from the first Banjo, mostly for the quiz part. They are the typical use your newly acquired transformation and beat them with it kind of bosses. Maybe I just don't like getting farted on, thanks for that Monkey Rat. What can I say about them though is that they're full of personality at least. Even the Final Spectre fight is pretty lacking after getting through the big mecha part, which is a cool set piece. I will just blame it on the Cyber Ace transformation because it trivializes the fight way too much. If you need a break, you can also go to the other street corner and buy some cool concept art for your money or mini games, or also go to the cinema to watch some of the scenes you have captured inside of the game, because they sometimes have cameras and you can then watch the full version of those moments on the big screen. They're just really cute. Same with the short stories you can also buy at the store. There's just way too much charm in the game. It also wouldn't be an Ape Escape game without the minigames, and while in my opinion it has two of the worst ones with Ultimate Ape Fighter and Super Throw Monkey Stadium, it also has one that just kinda blows you away with how much effort they put into it, Metal Gear Solid. A parody of Metal Gear Solid, obviously. Snake Eater also got its own Ape Escape minigame, at least in the PlayStation 2 version back in the day. It was cut from every HD remaster, and the upcoming remake of it will surely have it though, right? Sometimes you gotta keep on dreaming. The minigame is a great throwback because look at this. If you ever played Metal Gear Solid games, you will recognize these places. And if you play the unlocked version like I do, you can even hear Snake's Japanese voice actor doing monkey noises. In the English version, David Hayter sadly was not available. Would have been funny. I'm sure this was the real reason why Kojima eventually changed him out. Monkey Soccer from Ape Escape 2 though will forever be the best Ape Escape minigame. I just love football. Also, you can't talk about Ape Escape without talking about the music, oh my lordy. The thing is, I'm not a composer and I have no idea about music theory or how to create great music. All I know is that the OST is one of the greatest. It has a big variety and one of the best tracks ever Summer Island. I basically use it in almost all of my videos and you can hear it right now in the background. I would recommend putting an extended version of it on with headphones and just lean back in your chair and enjoy it when taking a break from it all. The whole soundtrack is even on Spotify if you use it. But obviously, it also has some more goofy music that fits the levels perfectly. I mean, if there's a Wild West level, you already kinda know what kind of music it will have, right? And if you make a level about Germany, just put in music that makes you think, yep, now that is some good ass yodeling. Better than Takeo Ishii. For me, it's my perfect comfort game. I can always just do a little playthrough and just enjoy my time with it. There's nothing to hate or dislike in it. It's peak Ape Escape, and in a way, obviously, I'm sad we haven't gotten another one, but in a way, it also makes me think, how much more can you squeeze out of it? Sometimes you have to end when you're at the peak, even though I would have still for Japan Studio, F in the chat because whip in pieces, and the F stands for fuck you Sony, easily could have came up with great ideas for a sequel. Sometimes it's a good thing that franchises are dead because they can't be ruined then at least. This is totally not just me coping with the fact that we will never get another Ape Escape game. It surprises me though that there's like not a single indie developer that thought, hey, let's fill that hole in the hearts of every fan and try to make a similar game. All you gotta do is change the apes with cats or something and boom, Cat Escape, the next big indie hit. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, regardless of if you're already an Ape Escape fan or not, because you will become one. It's impossible not to once you got your hands onto one of the games. I can guarantee you that, otherwise you can sue me. Please don't actually. Bye bye.